When the masters always said the essence of the teaching Buddha is Ranga Samdu Yongsundu, which means to tame this mind of ours, to train this mind of ours, to transform this mind of ours, to conquer this mind of ours, to understand this mind of ours, to realize its true nature. Because at the moment, you see, what is happening is we're lost in the appearance of the mind. You understand? Because normally people in the West, in the modern world, whenever you talk about mind, they have no idea what mind is. They just think of only thoughts, emotions. Thoughts, emotions, they think is the mind. But thoughts, emotions are merely the appearance or the radiance or the manifestation of the mind. Not the mind itself. The ground from which everything rises. What Buddhism speaks about really is to turn your mind inwardly, recognize the essence of mind. Because if you realize the essence of the mind, by realizing that, by understanding that, you understand all. And I was saying that, you see, Buddha said, you see, because you asked me to repeat, Buddha, when he was really essentializing teaching, he said, commit not a single unwholesome action, which means as much as possible, try to abandon all the unwholesome, the negative and harmful actions of the body, speech and mind, which are the cause of suffering for oneself and others. On the other hand, he says, cultivate the wealth of virtue, which means as much as possible to adopt all the positive, beneficial and wholesome actions which are the cause of happiness for ourselves and others. Is that clear? And the most important of all really is to tame this mind of ours, because the mind is the root of all. In Tibetan, it's known as Kunje Gyalpo. That means mind is the universal ordering principle. It's the creator of happiness and the creator of suffering. And the creator of what we call samsara and the creator of what we call nirvana is the mind. In fact, when you look deeply, that if you conquer the mind, you see, then by conquering the mind, you will naturally be refraining from harm. You will naturally be cultivating virtue. You understand? Because at the moment, we are not tamed. We are wild. Our minds are wild. You understand? We're just out there lost. We have no idea of ourselves. Lost the complete sense of our being. That's why I also always say that we are scattered everywhere and that nobody's at home. So that we miss ourselves. Basically also it means that, you see, really the wise and the learned and the enlightened ones actually realize that actually happiness and all the cause of happiness are within ourselves. It's only the foolish look for happiness outside of themselves. A very famous traditional example is keeping the elephant at home but looking for its footprints in the forest. You understand? Actually, you're not looking for the footprint, you're looking for the elephant, but then you keep the elephant at home, but look for its footprints to find the elephant, while elephant is always here anyway. Especially this elephant, yeah. The wise and the learned realize that all the happiness and cause of happiness are within ourselves. That is to say, if we conquer the mind and heart, then we conquer all our perception and experience. When you conquer that, then you conquer after a while even the appearance, the circumstance, and the whole phenomena that you conquer. In fact, you conquer the world. Like many of the great masters, like the Dalai Lama. So extraordinary about him. For example, when he comes to even to an assembly about 10,000, 20,000. When it just comes in, immediately everybody feels kind of different. Why? Because as his mind is tamed, as he conquers his mind and perception, he can conquer also the perception of others also. You understand? In Tibetan, it's Rana Wandi Yenang Surjine. If you conquer your mind, then you conquer the perception of others. You can conquer the phenomena. Then you're truly victorious. And so that really, when we conquer the mind, then we find that all the cause of happiness are within ourselves. You understand? We don't have to look outside. In this great master called Padmasambhava, who brought the teaching of Buddha to Tibet, and is often considered as the second Buddha. Often Tibetans call him affectionately as Ngurung Rinpoche, which means precious master. He said, in his very famous teaching, he said, don't seek to cut the root of phenomena, cut the root of the mind. If you cut the root of the mind, you will know one thing which resolves all. If you don't cut the root of the mind, you will know everything but forever stuck on one. Another translation of this, because it's a little bit difficult, this passage in English, difficult to render this in English translation. Another translation is, don't investigate the root of things, investigate the root of the mind. Once the mind's root has been found, you will know one thing, yet all is thereby freed. But if the root of mind you fail to find, you will know everything but nothing understand. If you conquer the mind, then you see you have the master key that opens all the doors. And what's wonderful, you find yourself when you open that door. Find yourself. And what happiness. Also, Buddha, in his very famous teaching called Dhammapada, in which very famous Buddhist scripture called, he said, we are what we think. Of course, the Californians say, we are what we eat. Buddha said, we are what we think. All that we are rise with the thoughts. With the thoughts we make the world. So speak or act with pure mind and happiness will follow. You see, because actually the mind is like a crystal. Whatever you place under the crystal, it takes that form. You understand? If you put a green cloth, it becomes green. Yellow cloth, it becomes yellow. In the same manner, mind, whatever we occupy, if you have negative thought, it becomes negative. If you have positive thought, it becomes positive. So that's why Buddha said, we are what we think. All that we are. We have the choice what to think. And it is the thinking that makes the karma. And thinking that actually makes our world, the karmic phenomena. Very much. So we are what we think. All that we are rise with the thoughts. With the thoughts we make the world. So speak or act the pure mind and happiness follow. On the other hand, we are what we think. All that we are rise with the thoughts. With the thoughts we make the world. Speak or act with impure mind and trouble will follow. So, but the wonderful thing about it is that, you see, the wonderful thing about it is that Dalai Lama often quotes as one great master, Tibetan master of mind training, great master, he said that once remarked that one of the mind's most marvelous quality is that it can be transformed. So there's hope. Is that clear?